Siphamandla, good to have you back. And let's talk about it. I mean, talking about that reason we are in court again with the former president, JJ Taban, earlier on telling us that it's quite tiring at this point. But what can we expect to hear from the former president's legal team?
We can expect to hear the former president's legal team arguing that, well, they believe that the Pietermaritzburg High Court erred when it decided not to grant him his application when he wanted to have the state lead prosecutor, Advocate Piet Koen, removed from prosecuting this matter. The former president's legal team is still adamant and arguing that Piet Koen is compromised. He will not afford the former president a fair trial. As we see, former President Jacob Zuma's supporters are already here at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. The well-known faces, the likes of Kalni House and others. In fact, if my colleague Joe Komane can show you there by the entrance of the High Court, the gentleman who's wearing a grey suit who's walking inside court, his name is Tobani Zuma. He's the former deputy mayor of Umsunduzi municipality, one of the relatives of the former president and the leaders of this region of Moses Mabhida of the ANC. So today we expect technical arguments in court will be mainly about the former president's legal team arguing that they believe another court will arrive at a different conclusion. They still believe that Advocate Piet Koen is tainted. He is not the right man for the job because they say he is compromised. They say he has acted outside of his conduct when he became personally involved in this matter, and they would want to see him removed. So the gist of their argument will center around that. Basically, they will tell the court that they believe the Supreme Court of Appeal will arrive at a different conclusion. I want us to take a walk down the road here to show you security measures that have been put in place. We anticipate that the former president himself may come to court today physically, so we have spotted members of the Presidential Protection Unit. Security forces are not taking any chances here. They are deploying in numbers to ensure that there is stability here and everyone is safe outside court, in anticipation, of course, of former President Jacob Zuma's supporters coming to court. A number of them have already arrived, but we are told that more are coming, even though those who organized them say they did not mobilize because of limited resources. But I can tell you that inside court, while the technical arguments will be ongoing, outside here, supporters will be waiting to hear what will happen. But Advocate Dalimpofu will argue on behalf of the former president here, maintaining why they feel that Judge Piet Koen erred when he decided to dismiss their initial application. Perhaps let's just take a listen to what Advocate Dalimpofu said when he was arguing earlier, saying it's not only Advocate Piet Koen as the state lead prosecutor that they want gone, they also want other members of the prosecution team to be removed because all of them, according to him, they are compromised. Let's take a listen.
For the record, my lord, we are not saying Mr. Downer is the only person who is disqualified. He just happens to be the only one who's here for now, of those people. But see, we would raise the same objection, my lord, if, and we're not involved or interested in the factional battles within the NPA. Whether these ones wanted the prosecution to proceed and these ones, they didn't want the prosecution to proceed. All of them are disqualified, whether they were on this side of that debate or this other side. They could not come here now. So what I'm saying, my lord, is that if it was Mr. Hofmeyer or Mr. Mshe or Mr. Pikoli or Mr. Nzuka or Mr. Downer, all of them would be disqualified to conduct this particular prosecution. Why? Because, or Mr. McCarthy, for that matter. Because they are all mired in the mud that is surrounding this matter.
So, Siphamandla, on that note, what has been senior counsel for the NPA, Wim Trenkove's response to this?
It's been dismissing this, saying, this is not true. State lead prosecutor Advocate Billy Downer is the best man for the job, is what I can call the star for the NPA when it comes to this prosecution. All the allegations that have been leveled against him, according to Vim Tremgrove, they do not hold water. It's something that is pure speculation, something that has been dismissed before. They argue that he's got the historical background to the case. He is best suited to try this matter, and they argue that he will act in a professional manner and conduct. So therefore they've dismissed all the arguments that were made by former President Jacob Zuma's legal team. Let's take a listen to them arguing earlier.
Mr. Downer is criticized for the affidavit he made in the spy tapes case. And it is portrayed as if Mr. Downer was a partisan prosecutor who somehow sided with a political party against the NPA. But that is again an example of a complete disregard of the facts. The facts are...
I didn't raise them at the time, but I'm well aware of them.
Yes, Mr. Hofmeyer asked Mr. Downer to make an affidavit.
And that he went through the state attorney and the drafts and everything.
And that's what he did. And it was filed by the state attorney on behalf of the NPA. And again, Mr. Downer showed his integrity by, he was asked to make a confirmatory affidavit in standard form. I confirm everything Mr. Hofmeyer said. Instead, he insisted on making an affidavit to give his truthful account of the facts, which he did. And he gave it to the state attorney, and it was filed by the NPA. It was an honest account. It was conceded by the NPA and Mr. Zuma to be correct, and it was upheld by the SCA. To suggest that that was somehow a black mark on his career is quite wrong.
Oh, Siphamandla, on that note, what does this then mean? I'm talking about the application here for the start of the trial.
It means possible delays, because if the former president is granted his wishes to go to the Supreme Court of Appeal to challenge the decision of the very same High Court in Pietermaritzburg, that means more delays. Remember, the trial was anticipated, or the date that was fixed for the start of the trial was around the 11th of April 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if the former president is granted his wishes, he goes to the Supreme Court of Appeal, that will take time. He is likely going to get a date which is beyond April for his application for leave to appeal there at the Supreme Court of Appeal. If he loses there, he still has options to go to the Constitutional Court. Simply put, this means that we are likely to witness more delays for the start of the trial, which was set for the 11th of April, because up until all these appeals processes are finalized, then you can have the trial. As we take a walk around here to see some supporters of the former president who are singing "Wenzenu Zuma," what has the former president done? That's a famous song that they always sing. But let's take a listen to what lawyer Mpumelelo Zigalala of Zigalala Attorneys had to say about these appeal processes by the former president.
Let's remember there was an initial application that was done by the former president's team saying that dismiss this matter. According to the Criminal Procedure Act, you shouldn't even hear it due to the irregularities that have taken place before. Basically, the one of saying the lead prosecutor in this matter has been so intimately involved in other things in which he allegedly broken the NPA Act. He has acted in a manner in which is not becoming of a prosecutor. Due to those instances, we do not see him as being the appropriate person to prosecute. In fact, he is tainted. It's going to affect Section 35 of our Constitution, which is the right to a fair trial, which includes that this matter must start and end within the shortest amount of time, but most importantly, be handled in a matter where everything is going to be fair. Now, they're basically saying extend the conduct of the lead prosecutor, Advocate Billy Downer, to what he has done to these particular facts, and then check whether he can be able to prosecute.
And that's where we leave it. ENCF reporters Siphamandla Goge out at the Pietermaritzburg Court. Thank you for this update.